Good morning. Hiya. This is the second set of slides. This is the second PowerPoint. And this one is something that several of you have already done before when in this format. You've not done a dictionary of weather before, but what I'm asking you to do is to make a PowerPoint. If you can't make a PowerPoint because you're using a tablet or you're doing it by way of your phone, then all you've got to do is make a note for each of the different terms. So as we go through this, there are 10 slides in total. The next one is the instructions. So if you were doing it by making a PowerPoint, you'd make a slide for each weather keyword or term or phrase. If you're doing it by handwriting, then literally you're going to have to spend a bit of time just flicking back over either a textbook or your notes that you've got in the past from the things that you've done in the last couple of weeks, or you've done by researching through the internet. Now, bite size is brilliant. Be absolutely honest with you, bite size is brilliant. But again, if you want to use the internet, do a simple search. Just do it through Google and don't always jump to the first one. Have a read and go, okay, these two definitions, they seem to be very similar, so therefore I'm going to use them. So on the next slide is the list of words that I wish you to actually make sure that you've got an understanding of for key terms. So there are quite a few there. So I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to take you, if it takes you 2 or 3 minutes per word, okay, then the reality that's what it's going to take. But you've just done quite a few of them on the previous piece of work, on the last PowerPoint for this week. So I'm going to show you an example for when we just did the snow for Italy one. This is what I would expect to see, something like this. So S is for snow. Okay, fair enough, that's easy. The weather is the condition of the atmosphere as it changes on a daily basis. Precipitation, rainfall, no. Precipitation is one of several measured elements which make up the weather. Snow is one form of precipitation, and approximately 10 centimetres of depth of snow is equivalent to 1 centimetre of rainfall. So that would be a typical slide. Now, the next bit just brings out the GCSE challenge bit for you, because obviously the idea of doing this work is to create a bank or revision set of materials that you're going to be able to cope with. So go on to the next slide. If it is a PowerPoint, save it. You might wish to send it to me. And if you're going to do that, try to add quality to it. Try to think, well, what are the instruments? What are the units? Is it in millimeters, milliliters? Is it millibars when it comes to pressure? So the next one we think is process. What is actually happening? How is it made? Okay. What happens when? Okay. So the last one is a case study. So you remember that we did Hurricane Katrina that hit New Orleans, and that was a case study example. When we did flooding, you'll have remembered that we did different areas that were actually impacted by the flooding. So, okay, move on to that word list again. That word list has got quite a few in it, okay? There are some that are quite similar, like we saw before with fog and frost, and when you actually saw them, they were both formed by the same kind of conditions, by being affected by the actual cold temperature of the Earth's surface. Well, okay, so they are formed in a similar way, but they are different, and that's what you've actually got to put on. Now, as you work your way down to the 10th slide, and that's all the way down to the bottom, you will actually see that I've put in a few examples for you. So A is for the actual piece of equipment that is used for actually measuring wind speed, an anemometer, sorry. It's a common weather station instrument. We've got a couple at school, and they're pretty accurate. And they actually measure the speed. And if you notice, I've actually put in the units for you. Kilometres per hour or meters per second. Now, both of those would be valid as a GCSE answer. You can put them in for all the actual thing and go, yeah, that's good enough. How much do you write for each short paragraph? You can actually keep it fairly simple. Now, there are a couple of examples like a barometer. You probably never really worked out what a barometer does, but you'll notice that it's actually a measuring machine. It measures atmospheric pressure. And notice the word in millibars. So you did high pressure on the last PowerPoint. So it would have a completely different marker for you on the actual barometer. So here you can actually see a fairly simple barometer. There are a couple around school. We've got them over in geography, and we will be going through them and showing you each of the different pieces of equipment. So here's the last slide as an example. This one is for cirrus cloud. It's thin, it's wispy, so that describes what it looks like. It's formed of ice crystals, a bit different from some of the other cloud formations. Now, the clouds are usually white or, at a push, light grey in colour. They're found at really high altitudes. So that's 6 kilometres, 6,000 metres high above sea level. And you don't see them very often for very long over the United Kingdom, whereas you would see different ones more often. That's because they tend to form under one set of conditions that we don't particularly have. They tend to form mainly in the high pressure systems. Now, what I would like you to do is to work your way through as many of them as you can. Ideally do it as a PowerPoint. If not, then simply you're going to do simple writing it down, making a short paragraph, or doing them as a series of bullet points, or if you want a schemata. A schemata of a drawing to explain. You might have little arrows on it, you might have little photographic type pictures or cartoons or something that actually make you think, okay, C is for cirrus, B is for barometer, etc. So, good luck. This piece of work you need to save as your weather and climate dictionary. Again, if somebody would like to send me copies of what they've done, I've got some suitable prezzies. Talking about prezzies and prizes, I've just invested in the last of all of the cream eggs I could possibly find. So there are 20 pupils who from the last week got a cream egg. So you'll get that when we come back. I've got a long list of winners. I've also got some winners for the pieces of work that you did about the Home Firth or one of the other flooding places articles that you did. And a couple of you did outstanding articles. I mean, absolutely brilliant. So they've won a Subway meal, or when we go out on the field trip to Liverpool, they've won something a little bit more significant, which is at a certain Five Guys burger place. Let's fingers crossed that they'll all be open. Next week, as I said to you, we go to some live lessons, and when we go to those live lessons, we'll all need to work at the same time. Now, a timetable will have been formed for that. So good luck, hope you're well, and as I said to you loads of times, email me if you've got any kinds of problems. Good luck, folks. Bye-bye.